as I begin my remarks, GS, one reason why I believe that we are going to have a peaceful and successful election is because I worship the living God. And the Lord loves this country so much. And God has seen us through a lot of challenges. I believe He will see us through this and will cross this bridge of an election very successfully. I am grateful for your invite, and I have seen people in the audience whom I sincerely treasure and look up to, Archbishop Ole Sabit, one of my favorite clergymen in the country, the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, Madam Rosemary Mbogo, Canon Rosemary Mbogo, whose book I have been using to enhance my own fame by giving to people as a gift. And quite a number of you wonderful people. So we feel that we are within family, even as we speak this morning. GS, you asked me specifically to address our preparations for the next general elections, what we are doing in the country to secure our nation, even as we go forward. And I was advised by my heads of security agencies when I came to the Ministry of Interior that every time I get a public opportunity to speak as the Minister in charge of national security, I need to start first of all by this word of assurance. Our country is safe and secure. We have the little challenges which we have to deal with. As you know, we are tracking down some small terrorist cell in Mombasa, in the coastal region of our country. We have been working hard on that. I think we caught almost everyone we think was involved in that, and our operation continues very well, successfully. And we are focusing our eyes on the card rustling in Laikipia. I have an operation going on there, and our heads of agencies told me this morning that we are making great success, and I'll be out there next week with our colleagues to be sure that the citizens and investors who live in that part of our country can go on to enjoy their property and their wealth undisturbed. So, save for some of those that we call normal incidents, our country is safe and sound, and we thank the Lord for it. And we are all preparing, going by the constitutional timetable for the next general election. I am certified that this time around we're even better prepared than we were in the past, because we also have learned. And also we have cases such as, the phenomenal work that is being done by the faith-based organizations in our country. I've had opportunity in the last 2 years, my colleague Matiang'i and myself, to work with the Interfaith Council, which brings together representation of religious leadership in the country on the war against COVID. And COVID remains one of the greatest challenges we are dealing with, not just in Kenya, but across the globe. But I can tell you for a fact that we should thank the Lord even more, because we have fared better than many. We've suffered losses. We have lost people. I hardly know anyone who has not lost a loved one in the course of this very frustrating time. We have lost leaders. We have lost people in the security sector. I have lost over 10 chiefs in the country to COVID, which means that we have been affected in the security sector. We have lost educators. We have lost some of our very well-trained men and women. And as I said, we have lost spiritual leaders to COVID-19. So it's true, as my sister Mercy and her colleagues will tell you, the challenge we face is real. But the threat is here, and we cannot slacken. Let's do whatever we can do and follow what we have been told to do by our colleagues in the health sector. In addition to washing hands and sanitizing and keeping social distance, when government takes a decision about public gatherings and public meetings, I want to tell you this with all sincerity as a public servant. It is a painful decision that we have had to make. You know, we are Africans. You know how we mourn in Africa and how we do our ceremonies to bid farewell to our loved ones when they depart from us. To get to a point where you even have to think about reducing the number of people who are going to funerals It's the most painful and untidy thing to do. There is no government anywhere on earth that would like to do this. There's nothing we do with pleasure in this situation. And I can tell you, my brothers and sisters, for the over 4 years I have been at the Ministry of Interior, the containment of COVID-19 has been one of the most challenging experiences. You know, putting police officers on roadblocks for 24 hours, running 3 shifts of police officers and organizing how they are going to eat. And sometimes hanging out and looking at how those men and women are frustrated, trying to make us, adhere to basic things. They're just telling us, please stay alive. They love us so much that they are willing to stake out their own lives. I've gone to roadblocks in Limuru here during the night. You know the biting cold in Nironi and all these places, and you see those police officers. We've spent everything, buying coats for them, supplying tea at night. It's been a very challenging experience. And when we say the things we do, I ask you with all sincerity, my brothers and sisters, let's not politicize these things. They have nothing to do with politics. I mean, in any case, by the way, if you were to go down the list of those that we have lost to COVID, they do not belong to one or the other party. They do not belong to one or the other tribe. We have all lost. This challenge we face knows no creed, no age, no tribe, no generation, nothing. It affects all of us equally. So by restraining ourselves, we save someone. By disciplining yourself, you save someone else's life. I don't think my colleague Matiang'i and Mercy and all these people are having fun, standing up there every day telling us how many people have died and so on. It is very frustrating. All of us have lost people. As I stand before you this morning, I have lost my cousin last night to COVID. And this happens to all of us. Please, I beg you, please, let us take this message everywhere in the country. This danger is real. Of course, we are beginning, probably by next week, going by what Mercy and the others tell us, because now we have received an increased number of vaccines. We may now get to a point where we'll start mass vaccination, because we are now getting an increased number of vaccines. And we are going to use all the outlets. The Ministry of Health has laid out a good plan. We will work with them through our national government administration officials, through the police, and of course the church as a critical actor. We will probably before the end of the week have a meeting with the Interfaith Council to agree on now how we'll use the church networks to do this through the hospitals and health facilities that are managed by the churches, so that we can get as many of our people vaccinated as possible. Please let us not look at this from any other perspective except that we have a challenge, a health challenge in the country and in the globe that we now must confront all of us. And if you don't have a condition where your doctor advises you to hold on vaccination, please be vaccinated. In fact, yes, one of the things I want to thank you very sincerely is that when we walked in and Mercy's witness here, we saw that you have a vaccination stand here. I mean, this is brilliant, and I thank a lot for it. This is good, so that people come in here are vaccinated. If you have not had a jab, you get a jab. Let's be truly each other's keeper, as it were. So, what are we doing? You know, as the security sector, we do not conduct elections. Elections are conducted by law by the IEBC. We facilitate the IBC and other agencies to conduct elections. We are hoping that through IBC's programs and continuous further registration, we probably will have the largest possible number of young people participating in the next general election. And if you may allow me, Jess, I think the next general election, 2022, we will have, I think, will probably be the most important election we've ever had since independence. It's going to be more important than any election we've had. Why? We're going to have huge numbers of young people participating in this election. And then secondly, it's going to be probably a serious transition, as it were. We're going to make many decisions that will determine whether our country is going to continue on the forward trajectory, or if we are tempted otherwise and make mistakes, we could lose the moment. But that is not for today. For today is to tell you that the great country that we have, we look forward to having preservation of the greatness of our country by having a peaceful transition. And our aspirations as your leaders in the security sector is that we have a peaceful election. And how do we describe it? Or what do we call a peaceful election? We would like to have an election where not a single bullet is shot, not a single Matiang'i is hurt, no one is displaced, and everyone who is able to participate in the electoral process participates peacefully and takes a decision in the governance and the management of our country, so that the real will of the people of Kenya is realized and is understood. Can we achieve this? Absolutely. And how can we achieve this? Simple, by staying on the peace path. And our advice to Wananchi has been, peace starts with me. It starts with me, first of all. It starts with you, with what you do yourself as an individual. No one will bring peace to you if you want to disrupt peace. So first of all of us, and that's why I am so grateful to the church. Over the years, the church has been our foremost and strongest partner in peace building in our country. And we can see this time again, we're working together with the church through our peace building efforts to bring communities together. We have advised our administrators that we would like a different approach this time around. And I'm shortly going to announce something which has even most impressed me about this meeting. That we want our administrators across the country, from assistant chiefs all the way to regional commissioners, to now begin working with community-based leadership groups. And one of the foremost community-based leadership group is youth groups, so that our youths cross over from what we have all the time been treated as the youths are the mobilization group for committing crime or for committing sin, so that we become the special group in society that builds sustainable peace. And yes, you asked whether we are willing to partner with you. I came here with Mr. Vamba, who is seated here. Mr. Vamba is the official in the Ministry of Interior who is in charge of county commissioners, who works with the deputy county commissioners, chiefs and assistant chiefs, and I have authorized him today in your presence to immediately start working with you and the youth groups you have organized to pair them up with the county commissioners and the chiefs across the board. So where you have meetings organized by NCCK for youth, we need to make sure, Mr. Farm will make sure our county commissioners are there. They work with these young people to preach peace across the country, to talk to their fellow young people, to avoid being misused and to belong to gangs, you know, to avoid being abused by political leaders, so that our young people can do what I pray. Please be seated, Mr. Farm. Our young people can do what I pray that you do, which is simply saying no. Say no to violence, say no to division of the country, say no to ethnicity, say no to all these negative aspects that will destroy our society. Former Prime Minister Tony Blair says, sometimes leadership is about saying no. Saying yes is very easy. Sometimes leadership is about taking a position of principle and saying no. Say no to these things. I want to tell you, my brothers, my younger brothers and sisters, we have now to say no. No to bad leadership. It is within us. We have the capacity. Let me tell you, and I am fairly traveled, not as much as I would like to, but I'm fairly traveled in and out of this country. And I've spent about 9 years in public life, and I can tell you this without fear of contradiction. There are very few countries that have got the capacity we have as a country. There are very few countries that are as blessed as we are as a country. We have a great country. And every time, in every ministry of government I've worked in the last 9 years, I have proved that it is possible to do the right thing in this country and it's possible to move forward. You have plenty of people who want to move forward and do the right thing. I'm reminded of the words of a great singer saying, God is looking for a few good men. God is not looking for orators to talk him away. God does not need an army to guarantee him a win. God needs a few good men. And this country has got more than a few good men who are willing to move it to the next level. My younger brothers and sisters, say no this time round, and we will have a peaceful election. Say no to all these things. Look, right here this morning, you have just looked at a sample of young people, brilliant, smart young people, who have been given an opportunity to serve their country. The president did not go to look for them from a particular village or a particular tribe or a particular religion. Just said he wants a few young people. Does it matter to you where Matiang'i comes from? She is your brilliant assistant minister for health, discharging her duties. Does it matter to you where Kinuthia comes from? Young person full of energy, just fresh from Tokyo, Assistant Minister for Sports and Culture, leading the way and contributing to the service of the country. Doesn't matter to you where Oceani comes from. Young people who have been given an opportunity to provide service to our country. How is it that we allow political leaders to tell us anything else? We are not anything else except strong, blessed, talented Kenyan people who are willing to move this country to the next level. So please say no to these things. And if you say no to violence, you say no to misuse, you say no to all these abuses, we will have peaceful elections. Peace starts with me. You cannot organize goons and hope that your opponent will not organize goons. You cannot, insult people and hope that the other one will not insult you. It takes two to tango. That's what happens. So for us, for those of us who care so much for this country, and I believe we are in the majority, we must learn to say no. And that's what I'm asking you young people to do, to say no to this so that we can move our great country forward. And every time, one day, yes, I'll get an opportunity to have a fireside meeting with young people in the church and tell them the journey of my life. Everywhere I've gone, people tell me it cannot be done. Members of politicians told me in 2016 when I was as Minister of Education that examination cheating is an industry and it cannot end in the country. Then I said, let's try. And then there's nobody who came from anywhere. All those people who worked with are Kenyans. And they are here. That tells you in Kenya, we actually can do it. If we are determined to move forward, we can do it. So let us not listen to things that are not realistic, are not true. And I want to pray that you, my brothers and sisters in the faith, if there was a time to stand up for the Lord and stand up for this country, that time is now. And stand by the truth, even if you are alone. Call sin by its name. Let's move this country to the next level. So many of the things you hear are not truthful. I honestly think, and if you want me to be frank with you as a public officer, our problems are not what I hear being described by people from yellowing pages of international development jargon in the 80s and 70s, cliches and so on. Our problems are very simple and straightforward and everyone knows them. Number one, endemic corruption in this country. Number two, middlemanism, the cartels that have colonized the management of public service. So that our public service is so politicized that sometimes merit and everything else is shunted aside. Mediocrity is the way of life. And because of that, we spend time pretending that we are looking at regional representation when in actual fact, we are protecting mediocrity. And these cartels are everywhere. Everywhere I have been as a minister, I have confronted these people. I ask them one question: why can we do this differently? And they give you the answer, which I could describe in a different adjective if I was not in a church setup. They tell you this is how we have always done it. But it hasn't worked. The way you have done it, it hasn't worked. Let's do it differently. I want to ask you, young people, as a believer, dare to be a Daniel. We used to sing that song. Dare to be a Daniel. Dare to be somebody who believes that things can be done and who wants to live differently. Don't be carried away by all this empty sloganeering going on around and then so on. Our country is great. And I keep telling people, Kenyans, we are better than this. We are much, much better than this. Amana mnagani? Yeah, we are a great country. We can't be reduced to all these challenges that you see people are reducing us to. We have a great future. And let's all come together and build that future. The country needs firm and sincere leaders who will stand up to these challenges, who will stare down these cartels, and who will not engage in all these pretenses that you see. You know, I was telling a group of other people, and this is one of my concluding remarks, that Hitler, during the campaign in Germany, he told Germans to give him 5 years and he'll give them a different German. He actually gave them a different German because he slaughtered the Jews, gas chambers and so on. He gave them a different German. But he moved around, sweeping the country, taking advantage of the poverty, weaponizing the poverty of the people, and then now using it as a platform, and then sweeping himself to power. And then from there, everything else is left to history. Let's not fall into traps set for us by things that are not true and are not realistic. We have a wonderful country, and God has been kind and gracious to us and given us ourselves. And the change is not going to come from anywhere. As President Obama says, we are the ones we have been waiting for. So it is us who are going to make that difference. You and me and everybody saying no to some of these things. Speaking like my younger brothers and sisters spoke here. Honestly, how many countries around Africa would you go to and find assistant ministers this sharp? I mean, brilliant young people. I mean, was this Archbishop Elizabeth? How many countries in Africa would you walk to and walk into an assistant minister's office and find someone like Massimo Mwangangi and spinning policy off on top of her mind, forecast, you ask her questions, she has answers for you, and confident at 35 of the future and where we are going as a country. This is Kenya. So we are better than the way we are described, and we are better than the slogans that you hear around. Let us stand up and move forward and support our country. Finally, we have developed an engagement framework as government. We have brought together all institutions in the security sector. We are going to work with the church actively through our NCIC. The chairman, Reverend Kobia, has got some resources from us, support from development partners, and we will work with NCCK. Our peace building program that is led by a gentleman called Mr. Thuku in our ministry, that is funded by partners including the UNDP. We will work directly with you, Mr. Chairman and General Secretary. We will work directly with you. I would like to spend as much time as possible with you because I know who you are to this country. If there are people patriotic and love their country, it's the clergy in our group. We will work with you to ensure that we have a peaceful election as we move forward. We have mapped out the country. Secondly, we have looked at areas where we could have challenges. And we have already embedded groups that are collecting data on a day-to-day basis so that we can monitor activities as they go along. We don't want to be caught sleeping We want to make sure that our early warning systems are working, and we'll collect data in good time and act in good time. We are also now conducting community-based dialogues. We have instructed our senior administrators, the county commissioners particularly, to reach out to community leadership groups, as I said, and work with them. Number 4, we are focusing now on active social groups like the border, and through NTSA, we want to begin building structures that we work directly with Matatu owners, Matatu welfare associations in various areas, and Matatu circles, because they bring together critical role players in reaching out to our population as we go forward. Number 5, we have employed additional staff to hasten the registration of our people. I've been to parts of the country just where I'm told that people have challenges getting ID cards and so on and so forth. We have ramped up. We have employed additional staff to do this. We have also ensured that all our administrative units are completely manned. Where we have lost administrators, like where we lost chiefs, we're going to recruit chiefs to be sure that there will be no sublocation that is unmanned. There will be no location that is unmanned. We have just promoted 6,200 chiefs and assistant chiefs. And for the first time recently, the president has approved that we promote an outstanding number of chiefs to become assistant county commissioners. So over 300 chiefs. Some of these are younger chiefs who have gone back to school through Module 2 and obtained degrees. They have performed very well. We have promoted some of them, 300 of them around the country, to become assistant county commissioners because they have developed capacity to work with communities. And we are going to deploy more resources through our security sector to ensure that we monitor closely any indications of organized crime. The areas where groups have existed before, we are not leaving anything to chance. We are tracking those ones to be sure that organized crime does not take shape. That's why you can see we are very tough, especially in the work that we are doing right now in the coast of our country. We will do all this respecting fully the rights and freedoms of our people as enshrined in the Constitution. We have agreed in the security sector that we want to be the go-to people. Even the ideology of policing the country, we are changing it slowly. I have to be sincere with you. I don't want to come here and speak like a politician and lie and say, you know, everything is rosy and so on. The areas we have challenges, I have to be very honest with you. The areas we have challenges, the transitioning of our policing ideology has presented us with challenges, but slowly but surely we are getting there, moving police from a force to a service. So sometimes we encounter some challenging and frustrating experiences like that happened in Embu recently. And I told the parents of those children and the leaders of that area that as an honest public servant, we will conduct an investigation and we will go the direction the investigations will point us. And that is exactly what has happened. And we'll remain true to that as we go forward. This is a democracy. Kenya is a democracy. We gave ourselves democracy. Kenyans don't need permission from their government to communicate or to engage or to converse or to gather. We have given ourselves a constitution that respects freedoms, that respects our rights. But I urge that even as we have those rights, please let us respect our country and our nation. In fact, sort of the challenges we face, like with terrorism, I can tell you, Archbishop Sabita and all the religious leaders who are here, our new challenge is in social media and the abuse of the internet. I keep saying I understand when I see governments in Africa closing down the internet. 2 or 3 governments have closed down the internet. One of them has closed down the internet for 6 months and moved on, and they are not prepared to listen to anything. I have assured, and I want to say this again, our government does not think that way, we will not go that direction, because this is a country that espouses freedom. Freedom is our way of life, and we are going to be that way. We long lost the days when things happened differently. Now we're in a democracy. Let's listen to each other. But as we do that, I would like to ask that we respect those freedoms. The abuse of social media in our country is at its unprecedented high. Character assassination, defamation, fake news, vulgar language, insults, and so on. I hope that if we build a coalition of those who respect our freedoms, those who respect that when we have differences, we argue the differences and we try to convince each other and not insult each other, the more we enhance our group, the more likely it is that we will convince those few who want to abuse those freedoms to let our country be. So we will not take some of those actions, but we hope that people will remain responsible. But I hasten to add, because this I must do as a responsible public servant, we are also not going to operate a laissez-faire society, where you can wake up in the morning and do as you please. You can take me very seriously when I say that. We will be firm in the application of the law. I have requested my colleagues who run media and the others, we are going to have meetings with media houses and everybody who's involved in the information movement chain to understand where the lines are drawn by the law. The consequences of exceeding them will be unimaginable for you. We will also discharge our duty and responsibility to protect the people of Kenya, because there are extents to which we cannot go. We are not populist. There are not things we are not going to do so that we are popular. I keep saying all the time, we don't hold this position so that we can be loved. I would rather be right than popular. Do the right thing for the country, because what Kenya expects of me as its citizen is to serve it with dignity, with focus, and to be right, not to be popular and to drop the guard when I'm expected to take charge of it. We will do our part in ensuring that we keep our country safe. We have the resources we need to do that. Finally, I want on my own behalf and on behalf of my colleagues, the security sector, to thank you very sincerely for your continued support and collaboration with us. You are our most valued partners. We are your servants, we work for you. It is our duty to respond to you. So should you at any point in time